welcome into this week's My Weekly CBS Fix. I hope you had a wonderful week. This week's video is dedicated to Eric and Liza Leibovich. Mazel tov to you on the birth of a baby boy. May the bris be be'ita bismanai, a lot of nachas. Also, this week's video is dedicated to Refuah Shlema. We have a number of names this week: Miriam Bas Sarah Hinda, Nechama Bas Chai Rivka, Shalom Davar Mordechai Ben Rachel, Baruch Yosef Ahar Ben Yehudis, Shmuel Shmilka Benita, Yida Aryalev Ben Saralea, and also Leila Nishmas, my grandfather Meir Ben Shlomo, whose yahrzeit is this coming Shabbos. This week's parsha is Parshas Raje, in which Hashem promises us that if the Torah is kept, we'll be blessed materially. There'll be no paupers in the future as well, and that's exactly what this week's Haftarah talks about as we go back to the future. Redemption, that's what I meant, back to the future redemption, and we'll talk about it, how wonderful it's going to be. And Hashem tells us that in the future there'll be such amazing things going on with the actual temple itself, that the amazing stones that will be involved with the building, the sapphire stones and the onyx stones. I'm not sure what an onyx stone is, Onyx, you can look it up, but it's a precious stone. And the question is, what do we need all these stones? Like, what's the purpose of this aura and this beauty and this wowness of the future Beis HaMikdash? I mean, we would assume that then it's just all going to be about spirituality and deeper understanding and deeper wisdom and a connection to God on a spiritual level. So what's the purpose that the entire new structure of the third temple is going to be incredibly beautiful? It is just like jaw-droppingly beautiful. What's the purpose of that? So one purpose is that this, well, it's not like this so much today because Jerusalem has been built up, but this site, in which will become the future site of the third temple, is what once was ground zero. It was one time plowed over. It was destroyed, and many have cried and shed many tears over it. And to go then from one extreme of how unfortunate it is to the complete opposite extreme is exactly what Hashem wants us to experience. And not only is it not plowed over and low and degraded and people spit on, it's the exact opposite. It is the spitz. It's the epitome of beauty and gorgeousness. So it's not only that it's the most beautiful building in the world, it's the complete 180 in which Hashem did, and that is something that's going to be completely astounding to everybody. So, and the Torah continues on to tell us how exceptionally wealthy everybody will be. Nobody will be poor, and will be able to all go to the next eventual wealth, like we spoke about before, the wealth of the mind. And the way that the verse actually says, "V'chol b'nayich lemudei Hashem," and all of your sons will be students of Hashem. And our sages tell us to say that don't read it banayich, your sons, but rather bonayich, your builders. Now, what does this mean? Why are your children called builders? And the answer is, we as parents have an obligation to educate our children that they should lead the type of lives in which they can help build up the next generation. And how do you build up the next generation? Not just by merely having children, by introducing Torah ideals and Torah values into their lives. And when they do that, and when they do mitzvahs and they study Torah, so the same way in this world, you need to pay money for an apartment, even if it's going to be a lot of money. You need to have a roof over your head. You need to have a place to stay. So too, when your neshama, when your soul goes back to the world to come, it's going to need an apartment. It's going to need a place to stay. And how are you going to build yourself a place to stay in the world to come? By keeping Torah and by doing Hashem's mitzvahs. When you do that, you build yourself not only an apartment, you can build yourself a beautiful mansion. It's up to you how you want to build it. But the idea is you need to go from one wealth in this world to the next wealth of the next world. In the same way we said before, the ground zero now becomes the complete epitome of gorgeousness once the third temple is rebuilt. So too over here, this world is kind of like ground zero. There's only so much we can gain. There's only so much fun we can have. There's only so much we can own physically. And as we've explained before, that our sages teach us, a person doesn't die, that he hasn't fulfilled half of that which it is that he desires to do. Half of his tivus he hasn't gotten. So what do we have over here? That we really have nothing. We got to really build a mansion in our world to come. That's what we got to do, and that's why we're builders. We are builders. Our children are builders, and anybody who's this, all of your children will become students of Hashem. That means Hashem Himself will teach anybody that's willing to listen. So hopefully that'll be us, and hopefully again, this is all about reading Mashiach, and we have to reawaken inside of us this yearning to have Mashiach come. And if we do, one day that 180 will happen for all of us. Have a good Shabbos. Thank you for listening.